Hi, I'm Nora St. John, the Education Program Director for Balanced Body. And I'm here today to introduce you to the latest innovation in functional fitness from Balanced Body, the Coraline. Let me show you what comes with the unit and several things that you can use to create a wide variety of exercises on this wonderful piece of equipment. First of all, we have just a nice low frame. Makes it very easy to get on and off of. It's a wonderful functional piece for people who have balance issues or other concerns. We have a frame. We have a standing platform at each end, which is also where tubing can be attached to. We have two moving carts that can be put in several different positions to create a wide variety of exercises. There's several accessories that come with this. We have cart pads, which create just a little extra cushion for the hand, the forearm, or the foot when doing different exercises. We also have a standing platform pad, which is nice because then when you have both pads on, the feet and the hands or the knees and the hands are at the same level. Also shown here in the unit are the cart stopper blocks, which are extremely useful for, number one, stopping the unit and keeping it contained if you're in an open gym environment or if the Coraline is in a situation where it is available for unsupervised use and you want to limit the availability of it for clients or customers. These are also very useful for decreasing the range of motion that the Coraline can go in. And if you'll notice here, there's little bumpers on this end. You want the bumpers to go towards the Coraline, and then the Coraline range of motion will be limited by the bumper. When you put them in to stop the cart, you're going to turn it the other way around so that the bumpers are away from the Coraline. Another useful accessory is known as the starter blocks. And these are a wonderful device to create more stability for clients in either their hands or their feet. You'll notice that these two knobs are not symmetrical, meaning that you can put the starter block in from this side and push this way, or you can put the starter block in this way if you're pushing from the other side. You can have your hands on there, or you can push your heels or your feet up against there to provide more stability in challenging exercises. The other accessory that we'll show that comes with the Coraline is the Coraline ropes and handles. And these are going to attach to the ladder, which we'll discuss in a minute. Another option that we're showing here, another accessory, is just a physio ball or a fitness ball. And these are used also in some of the Coraline 3 exercises. The way that you adjust the resistance on the Coraline and the key piece of the Coraline that makes it so functional and so useful is the tubing resistance, the elastic resistance that you can see coming from the carts here. I'm going to show you how to put the tubing in and then how to adjust it, and then how to put the carts in several different configurations. So to get into the cart, I'm going to do a couple things. First, I'm going to lift up the standing platform. You'll notice there's a little silver knob right here. So when I'm down here, I can just see the silver knob. I push it down, and the standing platform comes up. Here I can see all of my tube receivers, and I can simply take my tube and put it in the receiver. You want to make sure it's nestled in there fairly straight. It's not off to the side or in some other awkward position. Now, inside here is where the tubes live, and I'm going to adjust this, I'm going to undo this knob, and then the whole cart top comes off. Notice here how there's this little strap that goes onto this part of the cart, and then there's the knob that goes into this slot. So here, you'll notice that there's 6 different tubes. We have 2 light tubes, 2 medium tubes, and 2 heavy tubes. The light ones are a coral or sometimes a yellow color. The medium weight tubes are a blue, and the heavyweight tubes are a gray. This is a nice way to put them into the carts because then you always know that the inside are light, the middle are medium, and the outside are heavy. To put them in, they come just like this, and you just insert them like so. Then to put the cart top back on, I take the strap, I make sure it's lined up with that little tongue of metal, put that like that, and I'm ready to go. So when you're adjusting the resistance for your exercises, you have many options. For many of the exercises, you'll be using what's called a light resistance, which will be typically a blue tube. Now, for some clients, you're going to want to make sure that there's no issues with the tube, so you may want to use 2 of the light tubes, which equal about a medium tube. 2 of the medium tubes equal about a heavy tube. So that gives you some adjustments and some ways to think about that. To put that on, again, I'm just going to put that there, close my lid, make sure I hear that nice click, and I'm ready to go. One of the great features about the Coraline is that these units, these cart units, can go in many different configurations. There are 6 different configurations, and I'm going to show you how to move them into those configurations now. The first position is going to be here, 2 carts at one end. Now I can also, however, put the 2 carts at this end and attach them here. Or I can attach them one at this end and one at this end, creating a wide variety of resistance directions for a wide variety of exercises. Now I'm going to show you there's one particular setup that's a little bit challenging. And in this situation, we're going to attach the tubes to both sides. So to do that, again, I'm going to undo both of my standing platforms. I'm going to use the light tubing, which makes this a little bit easier. I'll also show you how to do it with the harder tubing. Now notice that I'm using, in this case, the tubing closest to you. For the other one, I want to make sure I don't use the same tube. Okay, so I'm going to use the upstage one in this case. And now, my cart hangs out in the middle just like this. If you are using a harder resistance for some exercises, let's say I'm going to use a blue or even a blue and a gray, it's really challenging to move that across. So what you may need to do there is slide it over with your foot and have that help you as you take your tube and bring it into the middle. Okay? Let's undo that. And you can do the same thing with your other cart, and that creates a nice floating feeling of the carts in the middle of the unit. Now, there's another option that we have here, 2 more options actually, and for this one, we'll leave that one there. When you take the carts out, you're going to tip them towards the midline. This goes here. Now I can have both carts in one track. And from here I have 2 different resistance options. One, I can attach the tubes from the ends, creating an adduction resistance, or a pull to the midline. Or, my last option, I can actually attach the carts to each other so that the resistance comes when you pull the carts apart rather than when you draw them together. Now the easiest way to do that is first to place both of the knobs away from each other. When I've got that in place, this can close. I'm going to undo my cart top, take that off, and all I'm going to do here is take out one of my tubes, leave it in my cart, pick up another tube, and either place it here if I want a lighter resistance with that tube, or place it here if I want more resistance from that tube. I'm going to place it here for the moment, and then all I have to do is place my cart top back on, and then I can just pull this way. Okay? Now, to change that, I've got to just take that off, and then I'll put this back in here. Now, one last thing we're going to talk about is tube safety. For many people, if you're used to working with these, you know that they don't last forever. Unlike, for example, springs on a reformer. These will wear out with time, so it's very important that you check them for wear on a daily to weekly basis, depending on the usage in your studio. To check them for wear, you're going to open up your cart top, take your hands and just run them down the tube. And if there's a nick or a cut or it's starting to get a weak spot, you'll feel that in the material. You also want to visually inspect them and make sure that there's no little white lines. That will usually tell you that it's starting to wear, or little white patches. If you see any of those signs, you're going to replace your tubing. You should always have a spare set on hand so that you're able to do that in a hurry. So there are the tubes, safety for the tubes, and the many different positions of the cart tops. The last piece of the Coraline unit that's very important is something that isn't the Coraline itself, but is the ladder. There are several different options for the ladder. What we're showing in this DVD and in many of the instructor training DVDs are the freestanding ladder, which is what you see here. This includes a ladder on a base. Because it has the base, that means that the Coraline is going to move in and out of that base. If you were against a wall with a wall ladder, the Coraline wouldn't be in a base, it would simply be on the floor. So let's review for a moment just how that moves in and closer to and farther away from the ladder. So you have some options here. The first option is simply to come down here, squat, and pull it towards you, or push it in. Another option is to straddle the machine, facing either direction, and push it forward, or push it back. Notice that this one is sliding very easily. Depending on the floor surface that you have, we recommend taking furniture glides and applying them to the little rubber feet underneath the unit at the head end if you have the freestanding unit, or at both ends if you have a unit that is against a wall ladder, because all the feet are going to be on the floor. You're going to choose your furniture glides based on the floor surface that you have, whether it's a hard surface, like the hardwood floor you see here, or whether it's, for example, low-pile carpeting. There's different kinds of furniture glides for both those, and those will make moving this much easier. Now, as we go along here, you'll see that I have the ropes attached to the ladder. Adjusting the ropes is extremely simple. There's a handle end, and there's a loop end. To adjust it, you have many options. One option is simply to move the loop to a higher or a lower rung extension. That'll lengthen the ladder. If you want it coming from a different height, in the rungs, you simply move it to the rung height that you're interested in, making it a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. And if you want to make sure that it stays in place, let's say you're doing an exercise where there's a lot of lateral movement, you can always wrap it around the upright as well, and that'll give you a nice secure handle on the rope. Last but not least, if you want to just make a small adjustment in length, rather than going up a whole rung, you can always just make a little loop or two, and that'll give you all the adjustability you could need for any of the exercises that you'll be doing today or in your future with the Coraline. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, in order for this to become a happy, wonderful, useful piece of your workout life for a long time, there's one important feature that you'll need to do. There's one important thing you'll need to do, which is to really maintain the unit. And it's very simple to do that. All you need to do is to take a wet wipe or a paper towel or a rag, something in that family, and to make sure that at the end of every session, or at least the end of every day, that you wipe the tracks clean, making sure there's no little bumpy bits or any grit on there, and doing the same thing for the wheels, either by simply rolling the wheels over your rag, which I sometimes like to do, or taking the cart out, turning it over, and cleaning the wheels with your rag. If you do that, this should last you for a lifetime of Coraline fun.